So if I'm talking about the K nearest neighbor algorithm is popular machine learning technique. So how we can perform this kind of the. So let's see. I want to take simple chart first. Very simple. Like import matplotlib dot pyplot as plt. Now I want to create the two data x like 4, 5, 10, 4, 3. You can take any value and 14, 8, 10 and 12. Similar, you can take any value 21, 19, 24, 17, 16, 25, 24, 22, 21. So you can take any value. Now I want to passes some classes also, like classes is 0. Similar, we have the data like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 0, 0, then 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1 and 1. So now I want to clarify the chart basically like plt dot scatter and x comma y. Now the classes I want to provide the label and plt dot show. It is very basic chart for the normal dimensionality to show the data. Now you can see these data are there. If suddenly 22, if suddenly I give this data to, so these data colors are different. Now you can see. Now you can see we have this data and we have this data. Now I give the some different color to this data like from sklearn and import neighbor. Now it is perfect. And I want to zip the data like data and to typecast to this one and the data. So it will make them cluster. The zip basically make the pairs like 421, 4 and 21, 4 and 21, 5 and 19, 5 and 19. So it will make them the pair. Now After that, I want to apply the k neighbor classification. How? Like KNN, you can give any name. K neighbor classifier. And the n neighbor I want to supply here. So by default, the KNN, it is the classification which I have applied there. Now suddenly I took the value like 821, 8 and 21. So suddenly I want to took the value like 822, like 8 and 22. So the KNN dot fit, I want to fit this data, then classes. And now the new axis of y and x. So the 8 and new axis of y is 21. So I want to add this new data, new point, like new x comma new y. But now the question is that how I can visualize this data. Obviously, firstly, you want to show here like plt dot scatter x comma y. It is very simple, similar to the above. And plt dot show. But now the question is that if I have ready this data but the labeling is not there. So again I have used these classes. Now for further clarification, I want to add this data, new x, then new y. When I want to edit this data, it show like the C argument has 10 element which is inconsistent, which size 11. So we have the data like 22. This new point, like the prediction, predict, new point. So once I have supplied this value, so we can see I have supplied the three label. So now I want to set the dimensionality to the text. How? Let's see. Like plt dot text x equal to new. And to mention any value like 1.7 comma y equal to new y 0.7. And it depend on you which name you want to use. Like if, for example, you want to use it, so there is no like say s is missing because it is the proper syntax where we can use them, like s and the f string like new point, then I can use, then prediction 0. So it is just the new point. So this classification identifier, this become the new point. So that kind of the thing basically we can done with the help of k nearby. Like we have the data like before the KNN, and after applying the KNN, so I have suddenly created the two data x and y and the classes the labels. Firstly, I have visualized this data. Then after applying the k neighbor classifier and to make them pair and to apply the classifier technique and to fit this data and the classes into the KNN and to set the new point like 8 and 22 which you want to add. If you want to add the 24, so it will be move out to this one. So it will consider this one. But if you give the value 22, now it is green. Now it is yellow. So it depend on us. If I want to supply like 20, now it become the yellow. So it will make them pair only those data are near to the distance. So that is the thing basically. PyPlot SPLT. And from I want to import sklearn dot dataset because inside the sklearn there are so many dataset I want to import, and the dataset name like make blobs, and the algorithm I want to use sklearn dot neighbor import the k neighbor classifier. And the one model also, like the train and the test is split. So from model selection, and model selection name is train and test. Now I want to check out like all the libraries are properly exist or not. It so indicate, yeah, it is okay. The data like X and the Y. So the two data set I want to use from the make blob. So if I want to use this data first, so I want to use the make blob. So number of sample we can take like 400, and the feature like the two type of feature I want to apply, and the centers is obviously the 4. So it is just the prerequisites when we are working with make blob data. So it is defined this particular kind of the hierarchy of the code into the if I want to check out the hierarchy, so you can go to there. So it is just the sklearn dataset make blob, like number of sample 100, which sample you want to use, and the number of feature is 2, and the centers like as per your requirement, clustering you want to apply, and the center box. So these are the basically the syntax and the of the make blob data which useful for the clustering. So similar I am just applying here like n samples 400 I choose, and the number of features like n feature is 2, and the centers basically you can take 4, and the cluster is standard. And now I want to choose the value from randomly like 4. So after applying this technique I want to check out like 4 is properly there or not. Random state. Okay. So the standard is also to pass here like something 1.5. Perfect. Now I want to visualize this data. So the first thing, import module. So the first model is module. Second one, create dataset. And third one, I want to visualize the dataset. So for the visualization, I want to use the Seaborn library. Plt dot style, and I want to use the Seaborn. And the size of the Seaborn chart, PLT figure, and the fig size, the 10 by 10. It is like 10 by 8. I want to use 10 by 10, 10 by 11. So 11 by 11 you can use. And PLT dot scatter. Now I want to display how many value I want to display from the X. So the slicing are there. All the value, like all the value from 0 and X. All the value comma 1 and the Y value. This one. And like, is there any marker you want to use? So I can pass here like star, and the number of sample I want to use like 100. So you can see the data set is there. One type of the data, one type of the data, and the color I want to also use. So the color. So these are the data. So inside the data, like these are also some pairs are there, also some data classifications are there, and also some classification is there. Now plt dot show. So firstly, I have import the module. Secondly, to create the data set. Third, I visualize the data. So once I have applied all these things, now, so there are so many like different values are there. So I want to apply the fourth model, the fourth step, like splitting data into training and testing data set in KNN. So firstly, I want to train and the test split. We know very well what is the train and the test split, like X train and X test, Y train and Y test. So it will split the data into four part. Then the one built-in function like train, test, split, and to supply the value X comma Y. So we have the value X comma Y there. From the random state is 0. So the data is successfully split into the training and test. How we can check? Like print training like X train. You can see that it is the training data, and the similar X test. So I want to check out the shape. So the shape of this and X test. So the testing data is less as compared to the training, obviously. And the similar I want to check uh, Y training and the testing, and Y train and Y test. Train. Now you can see the data is split successfully with the help of the data. Like the separation of data is like 75% data and 25% data. Now I want to discuss the one more example. Like first visualize the data, and to load the data, basically to visualize the data and to split the data. Then I want to apply the KNN classifier. Classifier. So when I want to implement this data, no need to calculate manually. So like KNN 1. So we know very well we have the K and neighbor classifier, and to mention this, and number of neighbor I want to find out equal 5. You can also take some different, but I choose the 5 because it is default. And the KNN 2. Now, so when the classification done successfully, if you want to show like KNN1, so there is no meaningful result, it will perform this one. I have applied only the KNN, not any result. Now I want to predict this value. So the next model, data prediction classifier. So when I spread the data successfully, then I want to feed the data into the classifier like KNN1. So KNN1, I want to feed the train data. So fit is a function for the prediction. So the X train and obviously the same Y train training data. And similar this prediction I want to fit into the KN2. So successfully I have added this data to fit this data 1 and 2. Now the question is that I want to predict both the data. how? Let's see. Y predict 1, like KNN 1 dot predict or the test, like X test. So I want to test the data with the help of training. The similar predict 2, KNN 2 dot predict, and I want to supply the X test again. So you can see the data is fitted successfully. Now I want to check out the accuracy of my score. How? So to check out the accuracy of both values. So predict for both k values. So with the help of accuracy tester like from sklearn dot matrix import accuracy score. So with the help of this library, I want to print accuracy with KNN1 to test the accuracy, like Y predict accuracy score Y test on Y predict 1. And after that to multiply 100. So the first model accuracy is 94%. Similar second model accuracy I want to use. So I want to take this data again. So the second model accuracy is 93%. So here if I'm talking about into the first X test, applying the KNN to fit the data similar, to fit the data similar. But the K near I took the sample is 5, and the K near I choose the value 1. So what is 1 and the 5? Let me tell you one thing. So after building KNN classifier, so I developed the two classifier here, the 1 and 2, that demonstrate the relevance of the K value. So the model are trained using train set. So choosing the neighbor's argument. So you can choose the arguments like 5, nearby to 5, this one, and 1. It will show the accuracy, which value is more accurate for these classifications. And after that, I want to visualize this kind of analysis, like visualization, this prediction. So my last thing to visualize prediction. So to visualize some predictions for KNN. So that is the thing. So KNN classifier. So now, firstly, I want to set the size of the figure, like figure dot figure equal 15 comma 5, and plt dot subplot, and the subplot I want to create the further, like 1 to 1, that is 1 by 2. So you can create 2 and I create the 1. After that, I will split them. Then plt dot scatter, then similar x test, and 0, and the similar to the x text, 1. And the color, basically I want to use y predict 5. So this accuracy is much better. So like the KNN 1 I want to use, because the KNN 1 accuracy is much better. So y this one, y predict 1. And again the marker I want to use, and s equal to 100, and age color I want to use the blue. So once I apply this chart, so again it's showing the fixed size. Perfect. Very nice. You can see the data is basically there, and the there. But so the prediction of PLT dot title. So now, so the Y predict 2 I change here. So now I want to again show the second chart. So first is there, second is there. So, so predict value KN. So the accuracy is not look like this the above subplot. So it depend on you and basically the PLT fixed size. If you want to now it look like this. Now the comparison is there. So like first is KNN, the second is the KNN2, and the accuracy if I want to print. Okay, so okay, so I want to supply the font size here, and the similar I want to apply to there. So now we can see we have the two data like the first is KNN1 and the second is KNN2. So this data accuracy is 94% and this data accuracy is still very okay but 1% less. So this is the basically prediction and to classify the data. So if I just want to recall from the start, so firstly I have defined some library, some modules. Then I creating the data set. Then I have visualized the data simple. So this is the data. Like data is there and the data is there. Now I want to split the data with the help of train test split function 72 like 75 to 25%. Then I apply the classifier technique KNN, then fit the data into the this classifier, this training and data, and now I want to predict the result. And after data prediction, I want to check out the accuracy of the data. What is the accuracy? And now, after applying the accuracy, I want to visualize this data. So it is all about the KNN classifier.